o'clock. It's Thursday night. Yes, it's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Well, we've had a few weeks off. As you can imagine, we're absolutely excited to get back into Super Rugby. Even if it is only New Zealand Super Rugby, I think Hein Dumont, Couch Critic, said it well on his show, Use It or Lose It, earlier, where he said, well, we've just skipped to the finals, really, because let's face it, that's always where the New Zealand sides are. But looking absolutely forward. If you are new to our channel, please do subscribe. And also do keep an eye out for the Good for the Game website and our rugby betting forum thread. But let's introduce you straight to the guests. We've got a full panel today, no fewer than 4 guests on the show with me. And I'm going to start with Couch Critic. Couch, good to see you again. How's the whole lockdown treating you? I mean, pretty much business as normal for you. You're not the hardest of workers.
How's it, Brent? Yeah, no, it's been a bit weird. I've been to KZN and back, and now it's pretty much business as normal, but just a lot of it from home. So no, it's not too bad. I actually had the novel experience of having a delivery haircut the other day, so the barber came to my place. So it's pretty cool. Exciting times that we live in.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the law was there. I was quite interested that you tweeted it, because you sort of like, it's almost like I'm breaking the law, come and fetch me there. It was quite an interesting one. But anyway, so far so good. I mean, we know you like to take your chances of the show. We'll talk about your pension for something else on the show a little bit later. But let's go across to Henrik Swart. Henrik, I know you're coming off a rough night. We played poker till the early hours, and you'd had a couple of pots before then. And I know you're well stocked up for the next year, because you're not going to let another lockdown cut you short of booze.
No, Brent. Before the alcohol was open again, I had to, the last few weeks, I had to check. I couldn't drink as much as I normally like. So yeah, I stocked up quite well now. I'm not going to take any chances again. They're not going to catch me out again. Yeah, last night was a bit of a rough one. With the poker, I probably had a few drinks too much, and you could see it in the way I played. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to the rugby. I can't wait for this Saturday morning.
Yeah, I've never seen such enthusiasm, from South Africans about a New Zealand tournament. It's absolutely amazing. And New Zealand are going absolutely crazy. I mean, goodness, imagine living there at the moment. They are COVID-19 free. Fans can go to the stadium. What an absolute pleasure. Just to welcome all the guys in the live chat, both on YouTube and Facebook. Manus, good to have you on the show as well. If you do want to make any comments, you can make them on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll bring up some of them here. But let's introduce the rest of the panel. They're normally sitting together because they're normally sitting in Barcelona, Spain. But of course, they managed to hightail it back to South Africa to enjoy the lockdown here, if I could put it that way. And let's start off with Jordan Flax, one half of Son of a Punt. Jordan, how you doing? How's the lockdown treating you?
How's it, Brent? Good to be back. Lockdown's been okay. Kind of following Hein's chat there. I think if Fakila and Balula had Strava, we would all be behind bars. So I think besides for that, yeah, it's been nice just to knuckle down and get some varsity work done. But yeah, I just miss sport, And to be honest, I haven't put myself through the displeasure of watching highlights on Super Sport. I couldn't do it to myself, because it just hurt that much more.
Yeah, I've been amazed on Twitter. I mean, I'm one of these guys as well. I haven't watched a lot of sport. In fact, the only sport I've really watched, I've watched some documentaries and that which have been great. And I've watched quite a lot of cycling, funny enough. I like to watch the cycling on Channel 212. I mean, some guys appear to have watched the World Cup final 7 or 8 times. I mean, I couldn't be bothered to do that. But let's move on to the second half of @Son of a Punt on Twitter. These guys, of course, are well known for their sevens punting, but also do enjoy the 15-man game. Andrew, good to have you back on the show.
Yeah, how's it, Brent? Thanks for having us again on the show. It's been way too long since we've been on here. Really have been missing sport, and I've managed to stay clean. Not a punt placed since lockdown started. Entered the lotto a couple times, but apart from that, I'm pretty clean, which I'm happy about. But I'm ready to get stuck in and can't wait.
Excellent. Yeah, I must say I'm very similar. I think I had a couple of horse racing bets the other day, but I've largely stayed out. I haven't been tempted by Couch Critic and all these NRL punts and that he's been putting up on Good for the Game. Although I did have a nibble on The Bachelor. Unfortunately, my 10-1 shot went out I think the second week after I tipped her there, which was a bit disappointing. But now we do have some real sport to get into. We've obviously got the rugby. We've got football that is starting up around the world. Just quickly, Andrew, from your guys' side, any indication as to when you'll be going back to resume studies, or are you back home for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, so Brent, they've continued online. So we've been just doing our lectures online. I don't think there are any plans to get back for campus, but we're trying to make it back there for the summer, catch a bit of the beach, and enjoy our online learning from Barcelona. UCT prepared us well for blended learning, so it's just I'd rather be doing it there, have the laptop open on the beach in some good weather. I don't know, we're just waiting for flights to open up, so hopefully get back there towards the end of June, beginning of July, but who knows when these flights are going to open up.
That's for sure. Well, guys, let's get straight into the rugby, and I'm going to bring up the outright betting at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to start off with Henrik here. Henrik, I know you've already been looking at the games now for a couple of weeks. What is your thoughts on the outright markets? I'll just run through the betting. The even money Crusaders, Chiefs 5-2, Blues 6-1, Hurricanes 13-2, and Highlanders 33-1. Not a lot of change over the last few weeks.
Yeah, but it's very well set up, the prices. The Crusaders for me way too short. I can't back them at even money. I think the Chiefs might give them a good run here. I want to go for the Blues, but you can't really trust the Blues, like you know. So I think the best one is the Chiefs. What's it, 5-2? I think that's a decent price to have a go at. But yeah, I'm not getting involved in that. But if I had to if you put a gun against my head, I'd go for the Chiefs.
Right, you go for the Chiefs there at 5-2. I mean, we'll talk about the actual game itself later between the Chiefs and the Highlanders. There's been some quite big betting moves there. But let's go. I was just about to go to Couch Critic, and he decided to exit the show. Probably a little bit of Wi-Fi problems down there in George with all the inclement weather. So, Andrew, I'll go to you. Yeah, anything stand out from a long-term perspective, either in the outright market or I know, and when we get to Couch, he's got some try scorers bets and that for us there. You've taken any position on this?
No, I haven't taken any positions. I'm in a similar boat to Henrik. I think Crusaders are way too short at even money, especially due to the fact that they have their bye in this first game week. I think this competition is going to be brutal with all the derbies. Players are going to get injured. The squad have that first game week sitting out. I think it's a bit of a disadvantage. It's going to come back to bite them later in the tournament. So they're too short for me. And I think Chiefs are probably the next best bet for me. I really like Aaron Cruden, and yeah, can't complain about the coach through Gatland either. So if I have to pick an outright, it would be Chiefs at 3.5. Can't ever see myself putting money on the Blues. They've let me down too many times before. Highlanders are a waste of time. And I mean, Hurricanes have a shot. And then just one other long-term bet is a try-scorer market. It's actually two try-scorer markets. The first is for the Hurricanes. I'm going to wait for team news to see if Kobus van Wyk is starting for the Hurricanes at 14, because he took over from Wes Goosen during his injury time, and he scored a hat-trick against the Wolves and then put one past the Blues and then didn't score against the Chiefs. But at 9-1, if he gets game time at 14 for the Hurricanes, I think it's a bit of value to be top try scorer for the Hurricanes at 9-1. But as I said, I'm going to wait on the team news there. And then the second try scorer is Blues top try scorer Joe Merchant. He was pushed out onto the wing, giving space to Rico Ione at 13. So I think if he's playing time on the wing, there's often he can dot one down. So at 7-1, I think Joe Merchant for the top Blues try scorer.
Excellent. Jordan, you got anything for us there?
Yeah, I mean, pretty similar thoughts to Henrik on the Chiefs. I think they're probably the next best squad as a whole. But I think obviously with the injuries that they've had, I think it is going to be quite a long tournament, and as Andy said, quite brutal. So I think it's just about managing your squad. And, I actually don't know if they're doing a finals or how they're finishing this tournament, but I would imagine, make sure you get to that last two or however it works. But one other try scorer that I liked was Nehe Milner-Skudder. He's come back to the Highlanders, and although he's not playing this weekend, they do have a bye the next weekend, and at 16-1 to be the top Highlanders try scorer. I mean, that's pretty good value, considering that I think Highlanders, and I'm pretty sure everyone agrees, are the worst team in the tournament. I don't see them scoring an overwhelming number of tries, and I think if they're going to score their tries, it's likely to be on the wing. So I think he's pretty good value at 16.
Right, I see Henrik just sent me a private comment there. Henrik, I'll quickly pop up to you before we go to catch. You say you fancy the Hurricanes to finish last.
Yeah, sorry, I thought we were only speaking about the outright now, so I didn't want to mention that. But yeah, I like the Hurricanes to finish last. I don't like their forwards. I think they will struggle there, and I expect the Islanders to be much better than what they started off. So I think it might be a two-horse race between the Islanders and Hurricanes for the last place. And at I think it's 5 or 6 to 1, 5 to 1. Yeah, I've got 5 to 1, and there's still 5 to 1 available. I think that's a great price on the Hurricanes to finish last.
Welcome to Chris and Pierre watching on YouTube. And then my old mate Garth Ridgway used to do the radio show with me many years ago in Phantom Sports, talking about my beanie. Now, Garth, it's cold in Joburg, but it's not beanie cold yet. It's going to be beanie cold this weekend. But I haven't cut my hair in 10 weeks, and I wasn't ready to unleash my afro on the show tonight. We'll have to introduce that at a later stage. Let's go to Couch Critic, though. Couch, I did catch on your show, I think you said, for example, you fancied a bit of Brad Weber to be the top Chiefs try scorer. And I mentioned that in particular because I eyed out exactly that market as well. But take us through some of your long-term picks, including your opinion on the outright.
Yeah, just firstly, I think Heinrich hit the nail on the head there. Probably the Islanders are slight favourites to finish bottom still, but I mean, it could be close between them and the Hurricanes, and the value is just of the Canes there. So 5 to 1 is my outright play on Hurricanes to finish last. Then for the team try scorers, Brad Weber for the Chiefs. I mean, I see he's captain this week as well, so he's obviously a very senior player in the team. Should play plenty of minutes, even though Tuirangi is on the bench. I mean, that guy's got an eye for gap and he's got incredible pace. So to me, Brad Weber, I think it's about 9 to 1 or 10 to 1 that I got there. So that's a pretty decent play. Just for Jordan, I'm a little bit worried that even in week 3, and then Scudder isn't going to be ready. Apparently, he's just had shoulder surgery now. So, I mean, I think he's going to be out for quite a bit of time. I know the Kiwi lads on the show this morning were pretty downcast about the whole signing, actually thinking that he's pretty much just there as a bit of a, I don't know, publicity stunt. So I wouldn't go there. And I'm going for Ash Dixon at 7 to 1 to be the Islanders' top try scorer. Completely agree. I mean, you could win that with 3 tries in the tournament, baby, even. So, you know, he loves getting at the back of the maul. Hopefully they kick to a corner and he gets in the back there and he can get a couple. And you guys know I like going for the hookers. So it's all Ash Dixon. And then on that topic, Dane Coles, 20 to 1. I mean, he's got to be worth a play. He's going to play plenty of minutes. He's a senior guy. Even if he plays off a bench, now he loves to roam out wide. So Dane Coles is also a good option there. I think 20 or 19 to 1. And what else do I have? I think a big one for me, one that I'm really keen on. I know Heinrich, I think he fancies the Chiefs outright. So to me, it's just Damian McKenzie is the better play. Damian McKenzie, top point scorer, 4 to 1. I mean, that's better than the 2 or 2.5 you're getting on the Chiefs. If the Chiefs win it, they're going to score, quite a lot of points. It's only a run between him and Richie Mo'unga. So to me, that's the way to go. Damian McKenzie, 4 to 1. That's my big play.
Well, it sounds like you've got a hooker in every province of New Zealand there. Good news there for your Couch. But okay, let me end off with my long-term play. And I'm going to tell you whatever these other lads have said, you can ignore it. You can toss it in the bin. I'll do a bit of an oracle on you there. There's one side that is going to give you a hell of a run for your money at a price of 6 to 1. And that is my beloved Blues. Now, people will say I back the Blues all the time. I can promise you I haven't backed them for quite a long time. I think everything is pointing to me towards the Blues going very deep in this tournament and perhaps pushing the likes of the Crusaders all the way. I like the team they've got. I was particularly impressed with some of their form in the first half. And I don't know, just coming out of this break, perhaps the Crusaders, who knows? Maybe they'll be caught a little bit short. But guys, I'm going to go for the Blues, and it's a confident selection at 6 to 1. If you do have a World Sports betting account, I see they've got a promo on that you'll get your stake back if they finish second. And I think that's a solid play if you able to get a big bet down there on the Blues. But I do like the Blues there at 6 to 1. Let's move on to the matches themselves. And the first game we got is the Highlanders up against the Chiefs. That's on Saturday morning. And it's been an interesting one, this, because the bookmakers actually priced up quite a few weeks ago. And the handicap, I think, opened 7, 8.5. It went out to 9.5. A bit of support for the Chiefs there. I notice now it's come into, and in fact, I'll bring it up here. I think there's some minus 6.5 Chiefs available. I think I saw that at Sunbet. And there's a bit of plus 8.5 Highlanders I did catch at GG Gaming still available there. So there's been movement. I know that's probably on the back of Chiefs injury news. But let's start with Jordan on this one. Jordan, what do you fancy in this opener?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think packed Dunedin crowd under the roof. At least that's going to be a recipe for some decent rugby, some good conditions. And look, I think because of that crowd factor and because of the fact that there's going to be rustiness, I think it's tough to you don't know what's going to happen in that first half. And even though I think the Chiefs are worlds apart, better than the Highlanders, just in terms of the balance of their side, the work rate of their forwards, and then the experience of their outside backs. I just don't see the Chiefs. Also, they were notoriously good in the second half in the first 5 or 6 Super Rugby games. So I see the Chiefs kind of starting to pull away in the second half as Cruden comes on as well. So, I mean, I really like the second half minus 3.5 in the Chiefs Highlanders. I think what will benefit the Highlanders, though, is that they've got a pretty strong 9-10, Aaron Smith and Josh Ioane. They'll control the game well. And I think it's going to be a big battle between Smith and Weber. Who can control the game, where the game gets played. I think that's also a big thing for Gatland. He likes to play the game in the right part of the field. And I think both teams are looking to impress the crowds, but I think the Chiefs will be too strong at the end of the day. And if pushed, I think I like minus 6.5 on the Chiefs, and my favorite bet in that game is minus 3.5 in the second half.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I've still got to just write the good for the game preview. The sort of template's up, and I've just got to put the bet in. And that's exactly the bet I've settled on, is the minus 3.5 halftime handicap. As Pierre said, the Chiefs were a bad first half team in the first half of the competition, or in the regular Super Rugby, and they certainly played some strong. And if you look at the way that bench is picked, it does look like they're going to come on strong. Pierre Killian, they're going with 5 to 6, that there'll be more points in the second half. Not a market I get involved in very often, but it could well be one considering here. Pierre, just to mention, I know you are overseas based, and I know you love your total points markets. Have you seen anything at all on the total points front overseas? I've had a quick check. I haven't seen anything. And I've got to say that, guys, bookmakers, disappointed in you guys on this one. We've got a game that's been played under the roof. We know what the conditions are going to be like. We know what the teams are. Let's come out with total points lines, please, at least 48 hours before, so we can discuss it on the show. Let's go to Couch Critic, who's written his previews, I know, for Bet Olymp on this one. Couch, what do you like here?
No, I think Jordan's got the cheat sheet there. It's exactly the same play, second half. I mean, the way the team is selected, the only concern a little bit is the Chiefs have got already a second string tight 5. So off the bench, I'm a bit worried what they can deliver coming up there in the second half. So that's a bit of a concern. But Cruden and Nana Satoro coming off there. I've actually got him as my last try scorer as well. I expect the Chiefs to come home hard. So that's the way I'm leaning second half. I'll also have a little nibble. I think almost 5.5 to 1's the best I could get on Islanders Chiefs halftime full time. So that's where I'm leaning at this stage. I think the Islanders will come out hard. You know, that home crowd is really going to fire them up. The zoo's going to be crazy. It's going to be a packed stadium. So I'm also adding a little bit of the Islanders plus 3.5 first half handicap. But to me, the big play is I actually got a little bit of minus 2.5. So I might stock up some more at 3.5 as well.
It's interesting that halftime, full-time punt, I think it was 3-Pete, one of our New Zealanders on the good for the game forum thread, said he's going for that as well. I see he's not up this morning, probably a little bit early for him there in New Zealand. Andrew, let's go to you. What's your opinion on this opener?
Yeah, I think the gents have hit the nail on the head here with that second half minus. It's also where I was leaning towards as my favorite punt for this game. I mean, I think this game's going to be won in the forwards. The Chiefs clearly have a very dominant back row and a pretty good tight front three. But they lack in the engine room in their 4 and 5 position, having lost some big players there. But if the Chiefs are able to dominate up front, I think they're going to be able to run away from the Highlanders in the second half big time here. And Gatland's deployed this tactic before. I think in the first game for the Chiefs against the Blues in the regular season, he also brought on Cruden in the beginning of the second half when they were losing 19-5 to the Blues. And they ended up coming back from the 14-point deficit and beating the Blues. So it's a clear tactic that he's targeting in the second half. So I want to be on board the Gatland train on the second half minus. And if I was pushed, I would take the full game minus as well. But the minus for the second half is my favorite punt as well.
Well, this could well be shaping up as our best bet of the week in the newsletter, the betting mailer that comes out tomorrow morning. And there is a subscribe box in the bottom here where you can just click on that and you'll get our mail every Friday. We haven't sent one out for a while, but of course we're going to be going strong now. Let's go to Henrik on this one. Henrik, I'm going to ask you, first of all, your opinion on the game, and let me set a points line for you, 48.5. If that's where the bookies come out, tell me your thoughts.
Over.
everybody, I agree with what everybody has said. I see the game going like they said as well. The Highlanders may be doing well early on, and the Chiefs then coming late on to win the game. I got onto the Highlanders plus 9.5, and I'm pretty confident on that. And like you said, there's still some plus 8.5 available at GG. I think that's a solid bet. I think the Chiefs should do enough to win the game, but I can't see them winning comfortably here. And I also actually like the 1 to 12 market. There's nice value on that. I see Sunbet as the Chiefs 1 to 12 at 1.75 to 1. That's a great price. I've seen it much shorter. I think at the exchange I saw it like 14 to 10 or something like that. So I think that's a great price on the 1 to 12. And yeah, I like that the Islanders has Ioane back at 10. They hiding Mitch Hunt at 15. So that's a very nice move. Mitch Hunt was a bit of a he held him back, the Islanders. I'm not a fan of his. On the points line, 48.5. Yeah, I'll go unders. I think I'll tend to. I'm actually hoping for a bit of a higher, quite more into the lower 50s. But I think it's this. There shouldn't be a lot of points, even though it's under the roof. Both these games with the New Zealand refs, it's under this ref. I know it's Paul Williams the one. Is Paul Williams for this game, or is he the other one? I know Paul Williams is the game, and what's the other one?
Paul Williams and Mark Fraser.
Fraser are both under refs. So at 48.5, I'll go unders. Not as confident as I would have been for like 51 or thereabouts, but still 48.5. I'm happy to go unders. But I like the Islanders. I agree on the Chiefs second half bet as well. That's a great one. So I'll have to have a look at that one. That's the one I didn't see that market. But yeah, I like the plus. Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody catch anything else to throw in before we move on to the next game?
No, I've just obviously. I've backed him outright in the tournament. So I've backed Ash Dixon to get that first score. So hopefully it's a line out early on, and he can get in the back there and get the Islanders the lead, cover the first half handicap, get the first try scorer, and hopefully we get the second half, and it's a perfect start.
Excellent. Well, let's move on to the next game, and I'm going to go straight to Henrik, give him first crack at the second game. We've got the Blues up against the Hurricanes. That's, of course, taking place in Auckland. Now, there's been a lot of money for the Blues. They sort of opened, I think, minus 2.5. I've seen Handicap now at a quick look before the show. We're looking basically minus 5.5 points across the board. So looking forward to Hendrik's view on this one. Also, what he's thinking points. And just a shout out to Sean Nicholas, a man who has used the lockdown to get into Comrades marathon shape, I can tell you. He's been sending us his times. What was he? He's running just over 5 minutes, okay, for 5 kilometers. Sean, go your good thing. Welcome to the show. Henrik, what do you think of the second match?
Now, Brent, I was one of those that got onto the Blues early. I got 15 to 20, and yeah, I'm big on that. Much bigger than I'm on the Islanders plus. Up to 5.5 points now. I'll still take the minus on the Blues. I think the Hurricanes will be found out here. Bowden Barrett will make a big difference at 10. And yeah, just before the break, the Blues showed good signs, and they look like the real deal this year. Like they could actually could have competed in the conference as well. So yeah, I expect, like I said, I like the Hurricanes for last, so I expect the Hurricanes to struggle. So I like the Blues strong. Yeah, I think they'll beat the minus as well. And if you're looking for value, the 1 to 12 market again, there's 17 to 10 on the Blues to win by 1 to 12. If you think it might be close, I think that's a good bet as well, because I'm confident that the Blues will win the game. So yeah, I'm not sure, but what do you think what the points line would be here?
I think the points line here we're going to be looking at about 50.5. I haven't really looked at conditions, but I think around about 50.5. Henrik, what do you think? Unders?
Yeah, then go unders again. Yeah, these New Zealand derbies, they tend to be unders a lot of the time. So yeah, again unders.
All right, let's move on to Andrew and get his opinion on this one.
So Brent, my two favorite bets for this game don't exist yet. The first bet that I really want to try target is to wait for Blues to go 3-0 up or 5-0 up and then target getting on a Hurricanes plus 8.5, plus 10.5. As Henrik said, it's going to be a closely contested affair, so that's why that 1 to 12 mark was a good one. But yeah, if I can get on a Hurricanes plus 10.5 in play, that would be unbelievable. I think they're really just starting to find their feet under Jason Holland in the end of the regular season. After getting thumped by the Stormers, I think they came back pretty nicely. So that's one market I'm going to be eyeing out in play. And then the second market is an unders for the first half. There's supposed to be a bit of rain in the morning, and it's obviously going to be a bit of slippery conditions by the time the match starts, combined with an unders ref, and it's a derby. They're going to be handling errors. It's going to be a bit of a shaky start, I think. So unders in the first half is a play for me, hoping for that line to come out at around 25, 26, and I'll jump on it. And yeah, seeing though this is the handicap, going on the pre-match here, what did you say it was? 5.5.
5.5.
I'd probably side on the plus 5.5 here.
Yeah, I can imagine, particularly if you are looking to get on the plus 8.5 or somewhere around there on the Hurricanes. Yeah, I must say 5.5 starting to get a bit, pretty much where I would have probably handicapped this game, looking at how I expect the teams to come in. I'm going to pull Couch in here, but I just want to bring up Brad Breath, another one of our overseas viewers. The word is that Barrett will be at 15 and Black at 10. Now, Couch, I heard you guys have quite a bit of discussion about the role that Dan Carr is going to play, and I understood from the New Zealand guys that he's only coming back after a few weeks. But assuming that Brad is correct here, just to, betting aside for just a second, would this be a sign that perhaps that's the way they're looking to play? Carter at 10 and Barrett at 15? Or do you think they're just going to shuffle them the entire season?
It's a tough one. I think it's almost the same problem that the All Blacks had, where it's you would still prefer to have Beauden Barrett at 10, but it's a case of they don't really know who they're going to play at 15 if that's the case. So Aotearoa Black can't play 15, so they're going to go with Beauden at 15 and start with Black. But to me, it's one of those problem issues where you still got to play the guy in his best position, and I don't care what you say. Beauden Barrett should be playing at 10. Get him closer to the action. I mean, he's gone there on probably a heck of a deal, so he should be playing the position he's going to be playing for the All Blacks. So I think it'll be a little bit disappointing, and I'm not going to lie, it's not fantastic news for me, because I'm actually not going to take the 1 to 12. I'm not going to look to get to a plus 8, because it's happened so many times before, and I'm probably going to be in tears on 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Sunday morning. But I think the Blues can run away with it. I think the Blues are going to dominate this. I think they could win going away. And I actually think this is the type of game to take a little bit of an alternative handicap. So I've gone minus 8.5 for, I think, 17 to 10 or something like that. I've got some confidence today. I've taken some multis where I've included the Blues for the win. So no, it's going to be a big day.
Excellent. Well, look, any guy who backs the Blues with confidence deserves a full screenshot. So there he is, Couch Critic, sitting down there in a nice
screenshot and some brandy at 7.
And some brandy at 7. Yeah, these early mornings are going to be something. I mean, I'm very relieved that they have actually pushed, I think, the Saturday game out a bit compared to where it was going to be now with the crowds in that game, because I didn't really fancy the sort of 5 o'clock in the Saturday morning start. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We've also got to take that into account when we look at the points lines. Afternoon kickoffs tend to be higher scoring. Of course, if there's rain about, that will probably nullify that.
Brent, just quickly before you go to Jordan as well, he might come in there in terms of points. I was also thinking unders in the first week as people struggle a little bit to get going, but just Henrik and everyone else here, do you see any of the new law calls making a difference in terms of the style and style of play we're going to see in from week 1 already?
I'll maybe come in there just before the other guys come in, Couch, because I happened to watch your show that you did with the New Zealanders and with Judge Rugby. And it's interesting because we're expecting, I guess, that if they're going to be harsher on the offsides and they're rolling away, we can probably expect, certainly in the early stages of the games, a lot more penalties. And when you look at New Zealand derbies, that doesn't mean a lot more 3-pointers necessarily. That means a lot more kicks to the corner. And, that could well suit your betting strategy of hookers off the back of mauls and that sort of stuff. So that's just my 2 cents. I do think we're going to see more penalties, but I think they're going to be kicked to the corner mainly. Anyone else, Henrik? Anything for you there? Any comments?
I agree 100% with what you said now. I also expect a lot of penalties while the players adjust to the new rules. And then after a few weeks, you might see the results and you might see higher scoring games. But like you said, the New Zealand teams, they don't always take the 3 points. And when you're on the points, you want the team to take the 3 points. I like accumulating 3 points, building scoreboard pressure, and and the like. I don't. If I'm on overs, I don't like the kicks to the corner because teams are so well trained at defending the mauls, and the New Zealand team's defense is very good. So yeah, I expect, like you said, a lot of penalties in the beginning and maybe lower scoring games in the first few weeks.
Andrew, anything
Great.
from you before I go to Jordan for his comments on this game?
Yeah, I was about to say, just to jump in here, I was on the Fox Sports website earlier this morning and I was fiddling around sorting the table in terms of different stats. And in terms of penalty goals attempted, the Blues and Hurricanes ranked in the top 3 for penalty goals attempted. And for penalties awarded and for penalties conceded, they're also both ranked in the top 4 or 5. So I think there are going to be a lot of penalties because that's going to be enhanced by, as you both said, at the breakdown, I think there are going to be a lot of penalties given for not rolling away and the offside line being disrespected. So I think there's going to be some sort of propensity to take polls earlier on in the game. So as Henrik said, the penalties ticking over, I also like that. And for the people on overseas bookmakers, you can probably get some markets over 1.5, over 2.5 penalties, which we unfortunately don't have, but that's something that would definitely tickle my fancy.
Excellent. And just for spread punters as well, I'll be keeping an eye on some of the overseas spread betting firms. Unfortunately, betting locally on spread betting is virtually impossible these days. But one of the markets which might interest me is something like a cards market as well, because there's obviously this red card rule. And I know, Couch, you guys touched on the show. Will a ref perhaps be, giving a red card is always such a big thing, I mean, and there's all this debate, but will the refs perhaps give red cards a bit more freely now, knowing that it's not going to change the game perhaps quite as much, that there will be a sub coming on. So just an interesting line of thought, because you can get spread card indexes overseas, and it was a bet I used to enjoy a bit myself. So something I may have a look at again. But let's give Jordan his crack at this final match.
Just quickly going back to actually that first game when you gave a points line of, I think it was 50 for the Highlanders Chiefs game. Games in Dunedin tend to go pretty high scoring. So it's just something, especially if it's under the roof. I know it is the first game of the season, but I mean, at that points level, I'd either stay away or look actually at a potential overs just in the first game. But obviously, second game, I'm fully in the unders camp as well. Yeah, look, I think with the Blues, they've got a great backline. They've got Bowden, TJ Fayani, Joe Marchant, Rico Ioane, Talia. I mean, they've got speed to burn, and they're dangerous, that's for sure. And I think the big question is, can their pack provide, a good clean ball for their backline to show off? And I mean, they're number 8. I think, what's his name? Sasutu. Sorry, Satutu. Yeah, he was looking absolutely dangerous towards the end of the normal Super Rugby before Corona. And obviously, I mean, it's going to be a battle up front. I know the Canes don't have the best pack either, and they, especially in the tight 5, they don't have the most experience. Besides for Ben May, they don't, and a hooker, they don't really have the greatest engine room, but they do have a decent back row. So I mean, if they can disrupt Blues ball, who knows what can happen. And in that first game of the season, I mean, +5 is starting to get on the higher side. As I mean, similar boat to Andy, considering with sound of a punt, but yeah, we're looking, for that +8 or something along those lines. But yeah, just going back to the rules, I think with this new rollaway rule, I watched Hi in your show this morning, which was great. I think, as someone said there, that someone might be they might be blowing a lot for rolling away on Saturday and Sunday, but I mean, it's just going to be something else that gets, let go. So it's always the same. They say, okay, we're going to ref the offside line harshly. Why is that? Because they weren't able to ref it properly before. I think if people were just consistent, like what of the little bit of rugby I've watched in the NRL, I've been super impressed by the refs. Like, they don't take shit for a forward pass. Like the pass is backwards. It's actually backwards, but they're calling it forwards. Like, the pass actually has to move backwards a long way. So, and I'm happy with that. Like, as long as they're consistent, and these guys, like, and the players don't complain either. It's called a forward pass, and that's it. They move on. So, I mean, I just want that in rugby. You just want the ref to make the decision and just be consistent. Don't try to give the teams a little bit of leeway. But I think it's going to be interesting watching New Zealand sides, because they love to get that little bit of leeway. and use them as the guinea pigs here. I tell you what, I'm not looking forward to the Rebels versus Western Force derby in 2 weeks' time. So I'm going to try and enjoy these. And even if they are penalty affairs, I'm going to try and enjoy these first.
Yeah, certainly. I don't think the Australian rugby holds quite the same appeal. Guys, thanks very much. I'm going to swing around to each of you, get your best Super Rugby bet this weekend. And I know there is other sports starting up now, perhaps even a horse racing, anything like that. Anything you got a bit of a fancy on, you can just finish off with that. And let's start with you, Andrew.
Brent, do these have to be bets that currently exist or still to come to market?
Even if you can maybe say if I can get, for argument's sake, a certain points line, that will be my best bet. It's fine, because unfortunately, there are not as many markets as I would have expected by this time. But whatever your strongest thoughts are on the weekend.
Yeah, my best bet for the weekend is the unders play in the Blues Hurricanes for the first half. I'm hoping for it to come out at around, well, let me just say 30 in case the bookmakers are listening. But
45,
no, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
If they come out at around, if it comes out at around 26 or anywhere in that region, I think unders is the right play. As I said, I think they're going to trade polls early on, which obviously is scoreboard pressure, but it's not a 7-pointer. And if they just trade a couple sticks, you can have at least 5 scoring players if there are a lot of penalties involved there. So unders for that first half is my best bet. And in terms of a bet that actually exists, out of these two, I'd probably take the Hurricanes plus 5.5.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting what you say about trading polls as well. I've noticed so often in rugby games, teams go for polls. The one will get it, the other one will get it. There'll be like 6 all, and all of a sudden both teams will decide, okay, that's enough polls for today, and then start kicking to the corners depending on what sort of game it is. Let's go to Henrik and get his best bets for the weekend and any other thoughts.
Now, Brent, I'm going directly up against Andrew there. I'm going for the Blues on the best minus, probably -5 at this stage. So I like the Blues. I'm probably more opposing the Hurricanes. But like I said, there were some good signs from the Blues just before the break. So I just hope that maybe Barrett starts at 10, because in my mind it was it's like a sure thing. He should start at 10. So I'm a bit worried about Brad commenting that he will be starting at 15, but I'll still go for the Blues, and my money is already down on them. So I like the Blues this week.
Right, strong on the Blues there, Henrik. Jordan, let's have your best bet.
I'd say it's the second half of the Chiefs Highlanders game, Chiefs minus, and I think it was Pierre on the chat posted about second half most points. That's pretty enticing as well. I mean, it's a bit of a coin toss, a bit of a gamble, but I mean, I do see in my head I see it. Like first half's a bit of an arm wrestle, and then second half Chiefs just go Johnny Bananas and at least beat the -3.
Excellent. Well, here's welcome to Chris watching, and he says this NRL stuff just doesn't cut it. Kat, you've quite enjoyed the NRL, eh?
Oh man, it's been bloody brilliant. No, it's been fantastic. Listen, I've been missing scrums, and obviously rugby union brings its own thing, but geez, there's some skill there, and those forwards, they aren't forwards, they're machines. No, it's fantastic.
Excellent. But anyone who saw you do push-ups on Facebook will know what a machine looks like as well.
Oh, good. Listen, okay, best bet, Chiefs on the second half as well. There, no doubt about it. That's the standout punt for me of the weekend. And then on to Chris's favorite sport, the NRL this weekend. Watch the Raiders and the Cowboys bounce back. It's definitely going to happen. Take the double there. You'll get just over even money. The Cowboys are on tomorrow morning, and then Saturday morning the Raiders they will do the business.
Excellent, guys. Thanks very much. I guess it leaves me to wrap up with a best bet. I got to say, it is one of those weeks I'm struggling, but I do like that Chiefs -3.5 second half as well. But I've also got a feeling that the Blues are going to just stamp their authority early, and I think they're going to run away with this game against the Hurricanes. So I'm going Blues minus as my first bet. I don't know if I'll have the courage to put that as the best bet in the newsletter tomorrow, though, because whenever I go Blues, I get about 20 or 30 abusive mails saying, come on, man, give these bloody Blues a break. Anyway, gents, thanks very much for watching. Thanks to all the guys who joined us in the live chat, whether you're from South Africa and Cerebral Assassin making the point about the big hits in the NRL. And, quite a few guys, in fact, coming in here, Jason as well, saying the NRL is great. So Good to have all you boys on Facebook. Garth Ridgway with your bald pip. Good to have you on as well. And look forward, Garth, if you're listening still, which I see you are. Tell me when you're ready to come on the show. We'd love to have you on as well. Talk a little bit about rugby. I haven't spoken to you for quite a long time about that. Thanks, everyone. Do go down to the bottom and subscribe if you haven't done it yet. And look out for the rugby thread on the Good for the Game forum. Till next week, Thursday night, we'll be back with the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.